Surprise, it's frosting. All my materials are edible. Hello Snack Pack, welcome back to Travel Snacks. Now that the cabinets are in, we can move on to the counter and the sink. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking to you about the materials we used, the rough cost of those materials, and how installing a counter and a sink isn't as straightforward of a process as you might think. So let's jump right in. If you've been following the Snackmobile van build, you'll know that on the last video, we installed the cabinets. In that video, we did secure the cabinets to the floor, but what you didn't see is that there was many things that had to be done before we could get to that part. I couldn't include all of it in that video, but through the next few videos, you'll see how everything intertwines. When you start getting to the countertop and the sink, things start to go sideways, and not only sideways, but diagonal and upside down as well. It's just a lot of moving parts. Before we could actually secure the cabinets to the ground, we had to install the dimmer switch that controls the overhead lights in the back. We had to also install the rocker switches that controls the water pump and the gray water tank valve. And we also had to put in all the wiring and the plumbing so that everything would fit within the cabinetry. The pipe for the gray water tank had to be installed even before we could put the refrigerator in. And don't worry, I filmed all of that as well, so those will be videos coming soon. This is also the part in the van build where all the videos I watched, all the blogs I read, and all the Pinterest boards I started came in handy. You'll probably want to think about your design and colors and materials way in advance, but this is the time where you actually have to know what you're going to be using. This is where it really starts to look like a camper van. I knew that I wanted to have a nice looking counter that was easy to clean, didn't have any like grout or anything that was going to be hard to wipe down, and I also wanted it to be light. For me, it came down to two different materials, butcher block or laminate. Butcher block is a very nice looking material, but from the research I did, you have to oil it a lot and you have to really care for it, and it starts to look better and better as time goes by. And I knew that I was already overwhelmed with everything I had to do for the van, so I wanted the simplest option, so I went with a faux marble laminate. Now, there were plenty of people that were like, don't go with that because it's like MDF board or particle board, but I'm not going to have my van for 10 or 15 years. So I thought that it would be okay to use that. I knew I wanted a lighter color countertop because I knew my cabinets were going to be dark blue. When I was at Lowe's, they had just come into stock a 4-foot wide faux marble countertop that I really loved, and it was only about $70. So I got that one. When I was at Lowe's, I talked to the manager that's over countertop area, and I asked if it was possible for a regular person to cut the laminate countertop, and they were very hesitant. They were like, I don't think so. I think you need to have it professionally done. And then one person was like, I mean, you could probably do it yourself, but you're going to want to tape it down really well. And I was a bit hesitant too, but I was like, surely we can figure this out. And so we did. I'm wearing the goggles.
I got stuff last time too. It was all your fault.
Even though the countertop was 4 feet wide, we still needed it to be cut down. This was going to be our test to see how easy it cut on the table saw. So we used 2 layers of painter's tape to make sure that when the blade goes through, it went through smoothly. And after the first cut, I was convinced that we would be able to do all the other cuts ourselves. The next cut was going to be us cutting off the back so that we could push it to the wall and not have so much of an overhang.
Look at this, made out of whatever, cornflakes or your...
Cornflakes.
Whatever that cereal you guys eat, they probably just...
Grape nuts.
They mix it with water and...
I don't think the inside of this counter is made of grape nuts, but if it is, I'll have a snack.
If you ever get stuck somewhere...
I have to break open my countertop.
And boil it. Right to the refrigerator.
Oh boy.
Can you reach your drawer?
Yeah. Much easier.
Room.
You think this is over too far, Mom?
No. You want to be just like that, so if something spills, it doesn't go into your drawer.
See, Mom knows.
Turn the sink upside down and I'll show you all the bad parts. We got a sink, right? Somewhere. So I don't understand what this is all about. Is there a boxes that came in? What's it say?
These are like little...
How do you access them? With the screwdriver.
I don't know. Let's watch the video.
Drop-in sinks feature U-channels for fast, easy installation. Sound deadening pads minimize noise and vibration from running water and clanging dishes.
It didn't tell me anything. Let me go get the instructions. Man, I can't wait to drop that sink into the countertop. You know what you could drop? A like on this video. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, and you might as well hit the notification bell so you'll know every time I upload a new video or have a live stream. Okay, we laid down the sink upside down like the directions said, and now I'm just marking it with a pencil so that when we lift this up, I'll have a template. With this particular sink, the directions said to put the sink down, draw a template around it, and then measure 5/16 of a lip inside of that measurement so that you have enough for when you drop it in, it rests on the lip.
Almost done. We're supposed to cut it from the backside.
Fudge balls.
Aren't we? Whatever the ripping action is, we got to do the opposite.
We just marked all this out. Now I gotta flip it over and do it again. That's annoying because now I gotta go measure my sink again.
We can just go like, it's got to be the same distance, this distance on the circle. Do a little hole here, 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 here. Draw our straight lines on the back, and you just have to draw your circles on the back.
All right, that's...
And we're going to make sure that this covers over the lines. Okay, now we got to flip it over and tape the other side. I don't think we're going to be able to tape this side because we got to see the lines we're going to cut on.
This is where you're going to start to cut the inner part of the countertop for whatever you want to install, whether it be a kitchen sink or a cooktop. I decided I wasn't going to install a cooktop because I only have a small amount of counter space, and I feel like I could just put my induction cooktop on the counter when I want to use it, or my gas stove or whatever I'm going to use. Well, this is what it is. Now, when you're looking for van sinks, you need to find one that's big enough for you to do a little bit of dishes, but also not too big because you want to maximize your countertop space.
We got 4 of them. Wait a minute, how do these even go in there? Looks like this part goes under the cabinet. These are I'm confused.
Looks like it goes like this.
Like this?
It also had these weird screws, and because the countertop is an inch thick, which apparently is not typical for countertops, but because it was so thick, it didn't really clasp on the way that it was supposed to in the directions, but we made it work. Also, you want to find a drop-in sink, not an undermounted sink, unless you have the skills to do that, but I didn't. So I wanted to have one that could drop in so it was smooth and flush with the countertop. Once you fit it into place, you're going to want to silicone it down to make sure that it sticks on there. And then you can just silicone around the edge just to make sure that there's no seams open, so there's no water that's going to get under the sink lip. And then just wipe it down so that it looks nice. The other thing with the sink that we ordered, it did not come with a drain, so you have to order a separate drain piece. It took quite a while for us to receive. I don't know why. So we couldn't really move on until we got the drain. So the drain just got here. Now that the sink is in, you can install what is called a P-trap, which keeps the water from smelling or something like that. I don't know. What is the purpose of a P-trap?
Its purpose is to hold a small amount of water to prevent odors from wafting through the drain pipes and into the bathroom.
It's like the little U thing. It traps a little water and then it goes down so that the bad odors don't come back up through your sinkhole, and you're going to be in your van and it's just going to smell like soggy, moldy whateverness. So you'll want to get a P-trap. We got our P-trap from Home Depot, and it was a kit that already had all the pieces, so that made it very easy. But after you install the P-trap, you really can't put the whole P-trap together because that P-trap has to go to the plumbing that is wherever you're going to have your water going in and going out. So there's a lot more involved after you put that P-trap in. Now we just got to figure out our own for this.
Right.
And that's where our black pieces come into play. So this is extra. And this, now we just connect to the black piece.
Yep. Of course, this will be on the pipe coming in. Just push this down on there and screw it down.
So in terms of a faucet, you're going to want to measure to make sure that you have room for the spout. I knew that I didn't want one too tall or too short. It had to have only one hole because the way that the sink came, it only had one hole for the faucet. It didn't have any extra holes for turn knobs or for little soap dispenser or anything like that. I was like, oh, it's going to be easy. I'm just going to go on Amazon and order one. Lo and behold, Amazon wouldn't sell me any faucets because of Prop 65, something about California and lead or something. I don't know. And I was like, what in the world? The faucets on Amazon were like $30 and the faucets everywhere else were double that price. Then I went to Home Depot and the least expensive faucet that was decent was $99. And I was like, it's a faucet. $100. But the faucet I saw at Home Depot was the right size, and the material it was made of said that it resisted fingerprints, and it was actually a perfect fit for my van. So I bit the bullet and paid the $100. And I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just install it, and then when I get on the road, I'm just gonna order one from Amazon. But you know that didn't happen, because once it's installed, you're not trying to unscrew things and do all the different plumbing and stuff like that. So I actually really like my faucet. Even though it was $100, it's gonna stay there for good and it works well. Now, although I would like to show you the way we installed the countertop onto the cabinets, I didn't film that because that came way later. And so all we did is we took some Loctite adhesive, the PL Premium, which I've shown in other videos, looks like this, and we squirted some around the cabinet edges, and then we just squished the countertop onto it and then put some weights on it for a day or two. And you can't just put the countertops and then the plumbing and then the wiring. It all has to gel together. You have to be very organized and think through what's all the steps to making this come together. It's like a finely tuned orchestra. Everybody has to come in at the right time to make everything work. You can't just have the flutes just go and buck wild and just start flouting all over the place. It's just gonna be too fluty. You have to have everything come together at the right time, and it just doesn't work in the sections that you think that it should. But stay tuned, because plumbing is next, and boy is that a chore. See you next time.
Snack time.